Yo, what's good with y'all? It's Major back with another video for y'all today. Today we got another dark vintage type of sample, breaking down this FOP, very short and simple. And yeah, let's get straight to it. So the first melody I started with was Chroma, the Silver Bells preset, and I had this very simple, dark, spooky type of melody going. So for this melody, it was very simple. As you can tell, I have one main chord playing throughout this whole thing, and then I just have this top melody on top. But when it comes to creating your own like dark type of chords, I really recommend using two notes that are right next to each other. Using these notes causes a lot of tension in your melodies and gives a lot of emotion, whether that's making it dark or very melodic. Literally just have these two top notes repeating over and over, and then I copied this over for the second half. And I didn't want it to be so stale and repetitive and boring, so I added this little switch up in the top melody, which I feel like gives a lot of character. But the most crucial parts of this melody to make it sound real realistic and vintage, just clicking it in, but having the none on the grid. What this does is when you're clicking in your melodies, nothing is going to be on the grid because you have the snap to grid off, and that personally helps me a lot when it comes to building and clicking in my melodies, but also having it be off the grid, and that's what helps it sound realistic and not so robotic. And then lastly, just messing around with the velocities down here. The velocities are all over the place. Processing was very simple. I literally just have an EQ in here, just taking out a lot of the bass and low mids, and then I just raised the highs a little bit, and then just a compressor on here compressing the sound and made it all the way more mono, and then I panned it a tiny bit to the left. Next, I wanted to cover that low end that I just removed from the first melody by adding this keyscape with this Rhodes piano bass dark, and I just laid down this very simple bass line repeating over and over. Okay, very simple, just following the same root note, really following the same notes from the first melody. If I copy it over, you can see I'm just kind of building a catchy pattern with the bass. I had no effects on that, so moving on to the next thing, I rendered out the first melody that I played. All I did is I ran it through my pedal. You might not be able to see it, but I have the Chroma console pedal. Ran this melody through it, and that's why you can tell there's little like textures and these little glitches in between the original melody. And then I didn't want it to collide with the first melody because it is the same sound, so I just took out like almost all the bass and mids. Moving on, I wanted to add some more percussion to the sample. Percussion is literally a cheat code when it comes to making these type of like vintage soul samples or vintage dark samples. So I chose this drum break from the AYN All You Need 2, and then I just dragged that in here and I ran it through the pedal, the Chroma console. It has some nice distortion on here, so I kind of ran a lot of distortion effects on this one, and I just made it more muffled out. Another very simple cheat code to capturing that vintage sound is literally adding noise, like any little textures or noise in the background. I literally just added like a little bit of vinyl in here, but in the final sample, like I said, it adds so much character. So next, I wanted to add like some accents and little textures and phrases, cover up a lot of those empty gaps. The main foundation of the sample was done. I want to add some strings, so I picked up these strings from the Allure multi-kit from AYN Sounds, and it's just playing a very simple chord. I just dragged that in here. As far as the processing, I didn't want it to be so like dry, so I added a little bit of delay instead of reverb, and then just an EQ lowering some of those low mids that were kind of harsh, and then I panned it to the left because I knew I was going to have some of the other accents and textures panned to the right. Next, I had this very simple one shot in the sample, but I got this from the 44th Floor Satellites one shot kit. And then I panned this to the right, and then I took the lows out. Very, very simple. And one of the main phrases I added was from the AYN Sounds Alert Multi-Kit again. And it was this little ambience kind of like texture that I added in the background. And it just had like a real spacey feel to it, a lot of reverb, real ambient. So I just dragged it in here, matched the key, and I pitched it down an octave, and then I just chopped it up a little bit. So this one really helped fill in all those empty gaps and really helped blend the whole sample together. Last but not least, for the second half, I didn't want the whole sample to be very repetitive, so I wanted to remove an element and then add something new. So I literally just took out the bass from the second half and I added just one string note, literally just one high pitched string note, and I used Kontakt, the LA Scoring Strings 2, and this is the preset I use right here. All I did is I faded it out, and then as far as the effects, I added nothing on there. But that was pretty much it. I took the whole sample, copied it over for the second half, just removed some elements, having each section be something new and different from the last. That's how you keep your samples refreshing and not boring. As far as the master, I had a sound shifter on here, pitching it up 3 semitones and then detuning it. You guys know I am the detune demon. Sometimes the sample just sounds too good detuned, so I leave it on there, but it's really up to you if you want to do that. And I just took out some of the low mids on the master because I feel like it was a little muddy, and then just a soft flipper making the whole thing louder. But I exported that, and then this was the final sample. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it for today's video. Because I did enjoy and learn something new, and I'll see you guys in the next video.